I don't watch cable news a lot unless it's to hate watch or to find, videos to show y'all why you shouldn't be watching cable news. Mostly I'm thinking of, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, these type of news stations that haven't brought you real news for decades, pretty much since they've been getting paid by these huge corporations that have, an interest in them not actually reporting real details about how that corporation is screwing over workers. Right. So that's why, I don't watch mainstream news very often. I encourage all of you to watch more of shows like this and other independent shows to actually, give you real news of what's going on. But I really don't even think about Fox News that often because, I mean, it's ridiculous, right? It's almost a joke. It's comedic level. Yes, there's a lot of people that, still watch Fox News. But, what am I going to do? All I can do is report out, facts and details and hopefully, they'll kind of come over away from that. But I do want to show y'all what Fox News and right-wing media is obsessing over. Of course, it's the culture war. And the reason they obsess over the culture war right now is because they can't really come out and say that they're, against people receiving relief checks. Obviously, that's not a winner. People need the money, and so they can't really come out against that. And there's, a whole host of other things that they don't want to directly talk about because they don't have solutions to those issues that people might be thinking about, like healthcare and funding for schools and all, military budget, like all these things. Like they don't want to talk about that stuff because they don't have real solutions to those problems. When the Republicans in the office, they're just gonna, what they're gonna do is defend them at every turn. And then when a Democrat or whatever's in the office, they're just gonna say they hate everything that they do. Right now it's tough because the American Rescue Plan was, a very popular bill. So instead, this is what Fox News and right-wing media are obsessing over lately.
Any words about it. They call this great. They say this is fabulous, that this is the stuff that children should be aspiring towards. So at the same time, Tucker, that we have kids that are not learning hard academics anymore in school, right? Forget about mathematics and science. You can trust the science and trust Dr. Fauci, but you have these kids learning about critical race theory. They're learning that they should aspire to people like Cardi B. That you see that fundamentally we are seeing the destruction of American values, American principles, and it's terrifying. I think parents should be terrified that this is the direction that our society is heading towards. And again, we are weakening America. That's really what we should be talking about. This is a weakening of American society. We are setting the stage, and it feels like we are looking at corrosion, like we are about to see the end of an empire. America cannot survive. It cannot be sustained under these sorts of values and principles.
And I will eat them in the rain, and in the dark, and on a train, and in a car, and in a tree. They are so good, you see. So I will eat them in a box. I will eat them with a fox. I will eat them in a house. I will eat them with a mouse. And I will eat them here and there. Say, I'll eat them anywhere. I do so like green eggs and ham. Thank you, Sam I am. Enjoy your day.
Yeah. So, I mean, which one was y'all's favorite? The Candace Owens video was hilarious. She's saying the American empire is crumbling down because of the Grammys, because of the Grammys that on the screen it said was the lowest rated Grammy. So not a lot of people are watching it. And that's what is going to crumble the American empire, not overextending militarily, which you never talk about, spending like over half, almost 2/3 of our budget just on military. You never talk about that. Not about the fact that workers haven't got a minimum wage hike in like 12 years. We're, grossly underpaid. People can't afford their deductibles, their premiums. You're not going to talk about that, right? You're not going to talk about, how no one can afford college. People are in mountains of debt because they were told they needed to go to college, and then there's no job for them after they're, sometimes $100,000 in debt. You're not going to talk about that. Why? Because you don't have any solutions to that, Candace Owens. You have no solutions to anything. None. Like I'm glad to have a debate with you about any of these issues because I have the empirical data and facts on my side, and you simply don't have that. I can look outside of this country and see what other countries are doing and how their citizens are doing, and the policies they're implementing to make sure their citizens are taken care of. I can try and transport those same policies here in this country to make sure that, poor and low income individuals, people in precarious situations can live a better life. I can do that because I'm not bought and paid for by these right wingers who really, when it comes down to it, behind closed doors, are probably talking about you in a way you wouldn't want to hear. Like, come on. And then of course the Kevin McCarthy thing is hilarious because, he's the House leader. The GOP has no institutional power right now. Of course, the Democrats want to grant them power, but they don't have any power. They can't make any decisions. So all he can do is complain, and lean into stuff like this stupid Dr. Seuss battle that no real person who's actually struggling to put food on the table right now gives a shit about. And so, yeah, he literally just him reading Dr. Seuss. Like, if you look at this from an outside, imagine living in another country and just seeing that, just seeing him doing that. You're like, what the, what? Aren't they didn't they just have 500,000 people die from this pandemic? They're still struggling. All these things are going on, and he's reading this. And I love this response from Griffin214 on Twitter. Says, "Hey, moron, it's the Dr. Seuss estate that's pulling the books for racist imagery. Not Democrats or liberals, his own estate. Family members, trustees, executors who think some of his books are racist," right? So they're attributing this to the left. The far left wants cancel culture, everyone to be canceled. In reality, it's not the far left. The far left is talking about, working class issues. This is more of a liberal versus conservative battle. And even still, I think the conservatives are losing this one because it's dumb and no one cares about it. And are you actually surprised that Dr. Seuss books had some racist imagery in it? Once I found out that ice cream truck song or whatever was a super racist song back in the 1920s or some shit like that. After I found that out, after that point, I wasn't surprised. I wouldn't be surprised by anything. Nothing would surprise me. And you see, better things are possible on Twitter. Internet Hippo, great follow. He says the Conservative Project is so funny. All day, outrage. The sexy ladies are dancing, and the only thing that can stop them is a tax cut for Jeff Bezos. No, literally, that's exactly they don't. There's no logical, conclusion. If you follow a lot of their arguments to its logical conclusion, it stops because they don't have a solution for any of these problems. They just will, come back to having outrage about the Grammys and people, women dancing at the Grammys, and it's why don't y'all I'm sitting here thinking they probably go home and watch this stuff too. They definitely do. They're they're coming on the news, so they can make money and whatever, signal to their base. But they definitely go home and watch that. They definitely do. And here's the real reason why they're trying to rile up their base with this cancel culture war. Instead of talking about real issues that a lot of their base, considering a lot of people in the country, including people that watch Fox News, are struggling right now. They want to mention all that stuff because they don't want to talk about this, and that's the fact that since Trump left office, their ratings have been plummeting. I mean, everyone. You see CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, they're all just plummeting. Why? Because Trump is out of office, and they don't have a boogeyman to just talk about all day anymore. So that's what's going on in right-wing media right now.